Tell Me About It is brought to you by Don Franklin Auto of Glasgow, Extreme Health Club, and Lockshield Partners Accounting Services.
Hey, this is James Brown here on Tell Me About It on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, a local channel, and the Glasgow YouTube channel, Glasgow EPB YouTube channel. You can find this on kysports.tv. It's Trevent Hayes. He generally represents them, but as you can see, he is finely dressed today. I'm with 104thescore.com, and the reason he's finally dressed today is actually he's coming from a funeral.
Correct.
But it works out because he's also the new football coach at Caverna High School. And so I told him in this first segment, where I'm going to do some interviewing of him as if he's the guest. And the other two segments will be like they usually are. We're going to talk a little bit about some district and baseball and softball tournaments starting next week, and talk a little bit about some Sam Royse, who has announced his retirement. And so let's start out with this football coach business.
Okay.
When, and I mean, when I say when, I mean like what point in your life you thought to yourself, I like coaching, I want to coach?
I mean, I really always wanted to coach. I actually started coaching Little League the first year, my second year of college. Mm-hmm. My first year I went to college and my mother died during my freshman year, and I took a year off and actually coached my little brother's Little League team. And
okay.
Then I went back and finished playing in college and came back and coached Little League, high school, middle school. I've coached about everything.
So, I mean, I think the first time I ever met you, and this is kind of like one of those things where people are assistant coaches on staffs, and, and I might meet them at the time, and sometimes I forget people were assistant coaches, you know, during a window of time. And so you were offensive coordinator at Caverna whenever Dwayne Hatcher was the head coach there.
Him and Nick Stevens.
Yeah, well, I was going to get to that part.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Don't jump ahead now.
Sorry.
So my point is like when I first got here, Dwayne was the head coach at Caverna. Now, that was in the fall of 2003, and I don't think you were on the staff then, but I think you were the next season in 2004.
I coached middle school that year, his first year.
Okay.
I was the middle school coach. I think that was Ethan Bowles and that crew. That was their 8th grade year.
Okay.
And my little brother Andy Goodnight. I don't know how I ended up being the middle school coach, but Nathan White was the principal. So
yeah.
I think it was one of those things where they needed somebody, and I told them I would do that instead of the varsity.
Okay. But then the next year, I guess, were you still coaching the middle school the next year, or did you just
No, I
move
just
up
went
to the
straight to the varsity.
Yeah, so you did that for a year with Coach Hatcher, and then Nick Stevens took over. He was a former state trooper, so that must have been a slightly different kind of feel.
Nick was actually my Little League coach.
Really?
Yes.
Now, see, I knew Nick had always been around. I didn't meet Nick until he got that head coaching job, and then somebody said, "Oh yeah, he's a retired state trooper," and I was like, "Really?" So. You know, and Nick and I always got along really well. I always enjoyed talking to him. I mean, and I think, if I'm not mistaken about this, from the time that Hatcher stopped until now, Nick served as a head coach longer than anybody else at Caverna.
The longest tenure coach.
And I don't know, was it 8 years, 9 years, something like that?
I'm thinking 9.
Okay. Because did he coach and then quit a little bit and then coach again?
Came back.
Yeah, okay. And so, and going to that point, and this is the challenge for you, I guess, as a head coach going forward. The last winning season was actually Nick's. It was actually Hatcher's last season, right? Is that what it was, or was it Nick's first season?
Nick's first. We still had a winning season under Coach Stevens.
Yeah, you had a pretty good little group there at that time.
Bartley, BA,
yeah,
Brandon Adams. Yeah, it was a lot of talented kids.
Yeah, because I mean, Caverna was good at basketball, had a good baseball team actually during that window of time, and so it was a competitive time. Now, as offensive coordinator under, let's say, Nick, because that was probably the person you served longest with, what kind of offense were you guys trying to run then?
The wing tee.
Yeah. Now, is that what you wanted to run? Was the wing tee?
It is.
Is that what you grew up running? Was the wing tee?
It is.
Okay. Who'd you play for in high school?
I played for a guy named Raleigh Mushrush. He moved here from Ohio.
Okay. So is that what you guys ran when you were in high school?
It
with
is,
the wing tee?
the wing tee.
Why do you like the wing tee?
Well, at Caverna, you don't have to have as many plays where you're pulling. If you've got really good skill players, you can hide a not so talented line running the wing tee. 'Cause you do a lot of misdirection stuff, and you can still throw it out of the wing tee. A lot of coaches don't throw it out of the wing tee, but we always, I played wide receiver, so we threw it out of the wing tee.
Yeah.
And it's really, you've got to have a very disciplined defense to defend a wing tee.
Yeah. One of the schools I covered down in Mississippi, they were like one of the better ones. I think they won a state championship while I was covering them. They ran the wing tee. And they would always have a guy, he'd be the fullback and middle linebacker. And that dude would be, I don't know, 6'2", 210 to 230, depending on the window of time. Their best big athlete was going to be playing that slot. And I was just impressed by how they could take one guy that would be, he's a dominant player, but I was impressed by how they could take that one guy and dictate to the defense, pay attention to this one dude and all the things they could run off of just that principle alone. And I guess that's probably what you look at when you're doing this kind of thing?
It is. We have Tyson Martin, who I feel is one of the better freshmen in the state of Kentucky. He's that kind of kid. And then he has twin brother, Kenyon, who they mirror each other. But Tyson is a little faster, and he's a little more football savvy than Kenyon is. But they're both equal athletes. But, you have to know where he is all the time. And that's why I like the wing tee, is because it's so unpredictable.
And then I guess off of that, you're going to try to find somebody who can play the quarterback position. I suppose you want them to be able to do a couple of things. What are those couple of things? I don't want to answer for you.
Throw it 15 yards and hand off without fumbling. That's all you got to do.
I guess, going back to, when I've seen teams that can really run a good wing tee, the other thing their quarterback can do.
You can do the read option.
Well, and the other thing that quarterback can do is off of misdirection plays can run or throw out of them if they're a good enough athlete.
Yep.
And so, a lot of times I think people think, in a wing tee, you're looking for a quarterback who can just do those two things you said. But really, if you got a guy who can play that position with a little bit of dynamism.
It just opens the offense up a lot more.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, when he was at Louisville, a lot of the read options that he did, that originated out of the wing tee offense.
So what's the most important thing you got to do as head coach at Caverna?
As of Friday or overall?
Well, you want the program to be successful.
We have to.
So I guess that thing that you're going to put, this is the baseline of where we're starting, that we're trying to get to something. What's the most important thing that you got to build up to?
Well, it all starts with discipline. And you've covered games. There's a lot of things that happen on field that's not football related that I think prevents them from being a good team. But if we can get the discipline where it needs to be, then I really think that, even this year, that we will be contenders for the district. I know Russellville is going to be really good.
They had a bunch of babies last
for Class
year.
A. They're going to be really good. But I feel like we're going to be really good as well.
What about, I think going back to Nick Stevens, one of the things he used to tell me was the challenge that Caverna had was weight training, mostly because they just didn't have a good place to facility.
See, that's not a challenge for us now, because Mr. Faulkner, when he was still the superintendent at Caverna, he put a lot of money into the weight room. And now we have Trevor Stevens, who is a former college football player. He's the strength and conditioning guy, and he's literally ate up with it. He's bang, bang, banging these kids to get in the weight room, and a lot of the kids are already buying into it. But we have to get stronger. Even if we're mismatched in size on the offensive and defensive line, if we're a little stronger and a little quicker, then I think that it becomes an advantage for us.
I guess the other thing historically, historically the last 20 years, Caverna's really struggled with is numbers.
Numbers.
And just having enough players to really run good, effective practices probably.
Yesterday, we had a meet and greet this week, and we had 28 kids to sign up there, and I had 6 kids to sign up the night before, and I've already been contacted by about 5 or 6 other kids. And they've not even started doing registration for kids that's moved into the district. So I think a minimum number we'll have is 35 this year. But I'm thinking, once the kids see what we're trying to do and the direction we're trying to go, I think we could get upper 40s.
I guess you coached a lot of these younger guys in middle school last year, I guess it was. Not last season, but in 2022 year. And so I'm guessing they know you and you know them. And do you think that's a positive or a negative for you?
I think it's a positive. The reason I think it's a positive is before I actually accepted the position, I wanted to talk to some of those kids that I coached before. And I asked them if they would be okay with me taking the job if it was offered, and they were all very anxious for that to happen. And I was very surprised with the first meeting, because there were some kids that I didn't think would be excited, but they were actually really excited. So I think they all know what I'm going to expect out of them, and I know what they're going to expect out of me. So we have a mutual respect. I think it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah. I know you guys, Caverna, tried to find somebody to fill the spot, and you kind of held out, didn't you? Weren't so sure you wanted to do this.
Right.
Just because you got a lot going on.
I do.
And that teaching that team and helping those players is quite a time commitment. So, I guess congratulations to you, and I look forward to see how things go for you guys. I always hope Caverna can get to where I believe it can be and where it has been in the past. A lot of people don't know, the history and successful in athletics and even in academics through Caverna. And I think sometimes people, history gets lost a lot of times.
Like I said, Caverna's always been the black sheep, per se, of the local schools, Glasgow, Barron, Hart, Metcalf, Monroe. But I think with the administration that's been in place now, and they're bringing in new teachers, and people are buying into to what the superintendent is selling. Caverna's test scores are right there with everybody else's. But people just go off what they see and what they hear. If they actually look into it, Caverna has produced several lawyers and doctors and judges, financial advisors, guys that own the firms. Kenyon Wood just graduated from the Gatton Academy, and I'm sure he was in the upper portion of his class. But there's a lot of successful people that's came from Caverna, and hopefully, we can get these kids back on track on the football field, like you said, and get them to the level of expectation that the community has, and maybe that'll, kind of knock that black eye off the program and the school, and that's the first sport of the season. So if things go good there, then maybe it'll reciprocate in basketball and baseball and track, and things can just go forward.
All right, sounds good. All right, this is Tell Me About It with James Brown and Trevent Hayes. In the next segment, he will no longer be a guest. We'll be right back.
At Don Franklin, we're more than a group of car dealerships. We're hardworking, everyday people of Kentucky. We strive daily to give 110% to our customers, our employees, and our families. We are committed to providing everyone with a safe and reliable vehicle, and we continue our tradition of supporting our local communities. At all 24 dealerships across Kentucky, we will treat you like family. Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, we are Kentucky.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business, and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
Lockshield Partners Accounting Services provides professional and trusted expertise to our clients. Our team offers individual, business, and nonprofit tax preparation services, as well as payroll, bookkeeping, and consulting year-round. Call or visit our office today so our team can work for you while you and your loved ones focus on what really matters, because together we plan.
We're back. Trevent Hayes, co-host of the show now, with James Brown, the James Brown. James, you really make me nervous sometimes because you get so serious.
What do you mean?
You just get serious
I told
for
my
no
wife-
reason.
I'm just focused.
Okay.
I told my wife last week, though, that I look like Grumpy Dog on TV.
You do, because you look mean. You look mean. You look like you're ready to bite my head off. And now we're going to talk about a little softball and baseball, right?
That's right. District tournaments start on Monday.
On Monday.
Yeah. And, let's go back last week. I think we may have talked about this a little bit last week. The way that the tiebreaker thing was in the 15th district for baseball was kind of interesting because Glasgow had beaten Warren East. They'd split with them. And so Barron and Glasgow were playing each other in back-to-back days. And I think I'd even mentioned on this show that Barron was kind of in a spoiler role. And they kind of were, but then after the first game, Glasgow won the first game of that two-day series 5-1. And I was asking, what the tiebreaker is and this kind of stuff. And somebody told me, well, it's runs allowed between the two tied teams. Well, the two tied teams were, for the top seed, were Glasgow and Warren East. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, so these games don't actually matter for the seeding of this district because East had allowed fewer runs to Glasgow than Glasgow had allowed to Warren East.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so we're just basically playing two district games that we're going to get to see them play again in a couple of weeks when they play in the first round of the district tournament. And I was like, well, that's just a weird kind of tiebreaker. I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it didn't really make sense to me because it didn't really include any of the other district games played, to kind of figure out the seeding. And so, we ended up with, on the baseball side, Barron and Glasgow playing back-to-back days. Glasgow won day 1, 5-1. Barron won day 2, 10-7. And then they'll play again next Tuesday over at Barron County as the 2-3 seeds in the district tournament. Glasgow's the 2 seed, so that means they get to be the home team, which is important, in baseball and softball.
Get your bat last, right?
Yep. So as long as you don't get shellacked early.
I know a little bit, James.
Well, you played some baseball.
But I done forgot a lot.
So anyway, so they'll play over there, and it'll be an interesting game between Glasgow and Barron County in baseball, just because I think for Glasgow, whenever Braden Emmett's on the mound, they've shown they can beat anyone. He was pitching when they beat Warren East. He pitched against Logan County. They beat them. They're one of the better teams in the region. He pitched against Greenwood and held them to 4 runs, and they generally put up a pretty good load.
Is he pitching Monday?
Well, here's the way that district works. The way to go, the only way you're going to get to the region is by winning that game.
So I'd say he's probably going to pitch.
Yeah, you're not really saving your best for the next game in that scenario, generally speaking. So yeah, I'd say Braden Emmett will be on the mound for Glasgow when they play Barron, and I would guess Barron will start Joey Myers. He's kind of been the guy that's gone the distance for the Trojans in a number of games. Although I think it was Saturday, Tristan Meach pitched a no-hitter against Campbellsville.
And Campbellsville's decent.
Yeah, they're usually pretty good at baseball. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're usually pretty good at a lot of sports, but baseball's like the one that is their kind of shining one, especially when you consider they're a 1A school in a district with Taylor County, Marion County, and Adair County. So a bunch of much larger schools, and they're usually right there with them.
So what do you think? Do you think it's going to be Warren East and Glasgow or Warren East and Barron?
What, you just counting Warren East beating Allen County Scottsville?
Yes.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too.
Now, on the other hand, Warren East probably won't pitch their ace.
See, that's always a trick in that district tournament, especially when you're figured they're much better than the team they're playing against. I don't know. I think they beat Allen County Scottsville a total like 17-0 in the 2 games, or 17-1 in the 2 games they played against them. But I will imagine Allen County will pitch Peyton Cope, and he's done a pretty good job every time I've seen him pitch. So I don't, Warnies can't take anything for granted in that game. So they probably need to go with their number 1, because you want to win the district title, but you got to win that first game
to get to the region.
Yeah, and they're a region favorite this year, so they've got it. They can't mess around and blow it in the first round of the district. We've seen that kind of stuff happen before.
A lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
So, what do you think about these matchups in this baseball tournament?
I think you said Caverna's going to play LaRue in the 18th district.
That's right.
So Green will play Hart.
Yep.
I think it'll be LaRue and Hart.
Yeah.
In the 18th district. Excuse me. Hart County's got a kid that can throw it.
Yeah.
Just because I haven't went to any games doesn't mean I don't follow it. And from what I understand, they're fairly young.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've read Warren East is pretty good. I've not watched a high school baseball game this year, but I probably will come over with you Monday night to check that out. Softball, Barron's the favorite.
Yeah.
They'll play
Glasgow,
and East will play Allen County. I'm going to say Barron County and Warren East.
I would say that right now. Allen County's not played that well lately compared to what I thought they would be this year. And Barron's I think they're 24-1 right now. They've just been clearly the best team in that district.
Gotcha. And then in the 18th district on the softball side, Caverna's playing Green, which is the 1 and 4.
Yeah.
And LaRue and Hart. I'm going to go with Green and Hart in the finals of that one.
Okay. I think it is a toss-up between Hart and LaRue.
Yeah.
That could go either way.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to give a reflection and pay homage to a Glasgow great, a legend, Coach Sam Royse, who decided that he was going to retire. So when we come back, we're going to take a break. We come back, we're going to talk about Coach Royse.
Yep.
Lockshield Partners Accounting Services provides professional and trusted expertise to our clients. Our team offers individual, business, and nonprofit tax preparation services, as well as payroll, bookkeeping, and consulting year-round. Call or visit our office today so our team can work for you while you and your loved ones focus on what really matters, because together we plan.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
At Don Franklin, we're more than a group of car dealerships. We're hardworking, everyday people of Kentucky. We strive daily to give 110% to our customers, our employees, and our families. We are committed to providing everyone with a safe and reliable vehicle, and we continue our tradition of supporting our local communities. At all 24 dealerships across Kentucky, we will treat you like family. Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, we are Kentucky.
We're back. Before we get into Coach Royse, I've known him. I've not known him. I've known who he was, but played against him when I was in high school. He always reminded me of Nick Nolte, the actor.
I can see that when he was younger.
Yes, when he was younger, he reminded me of Nick Nolte, and I always thought that he was the coolest coach.
Yeah.
That I ever saw coaching baseball. just always together. And, he had swag in the 90s when I played. Just
Yeah.
always carried himself really well. Truly a legend. Has he made the Hall of Fame yet?
He did. He actually,
Okay.
it's the Kentucky High School Coaches Association,
Okay.
Baseball Coaches Association.
Hall of Fame coacher, a true Glasgow legend.
Yeah.
He's going to be missed.
Yep. I called him. I kind of knew this was coming. Somebody told me that this was possible this year. And it's not the first year I heard it's possible.
Right.
And he kind of confirmed that idea to me too whenever I talked to him Tuesday morning. But before I called him Tuesday morning, it kind of dawned on me. I mentioned maybe last week, a couple of weeks ago, I moved to Glasgow 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so this was his 39th season as a head coach. So I've covered half of his coaching career off and on. I haven't always done sports, but I've covered a lot of games through the years.
Right.
And whenever I was in Mississippi covering sports, despite how good baseball is in Mississippi, I was in an area where everybody was terrible, and it was hard to watch. And so whenever I got here and saw how Glasgow played baseball and the kind of focus and intensity and just, it was high-level baseball. And the way he talked about the game and thought about the game and, that kind of thing was just impressive to me. Mm-hmm. Because I just had not been around a baseball coach like that. And how his players understood the game. And, his assistant coaches were always good dudes, entertaining dudes as well. And it was just kind of a treat. So the second year I was here, they won the region and played Heath in a best-of-3 sectional over at Bowling Green High School. And they ended up losing the series 2-1. Now, Heath at that time, I think they had two dudes, pitchers, who went on. I'm pretty sure they both played in college, and one of them may have been a minor league pitcher as well at one point, or a player. He may not have pitched in the minors. But and so Glasgow was they didn't have anybody necessarily at the same level as those two dudes from Heath. But just as a team, they had a bunch of guys who were scrappy, played hard, would do whatever was necessary to try to win the game. I think at that time they had the Toms twins playing second and short. And they had guys like the recently passed Kent Blackburn, I think, was there on that team. You just had a whole Eric Tyree was on that team, played catcher and pitched. And, there were just several guys who just stood out. And I was just always impressed with how they carried themselves. And that's, I think, the legacy of Sam Royse as a baseball coach at Glasgow is just that particular thing, playing baseball a certain way with a certain level of commitment and intensity. That when you look around the fourth region, there are a lot of guys who, they may not have played for him at Glasgow. They played for him like in the summer and that kind of stuff.
American Legion and things like that.
And so you got a lot of guys around the fourth region, I think, or just maybe even in the state of Kentucky, I'm not sure how far it goes, who learned how to coach baseball from Sam Royse. And, that's probably another thing people don't really realize, because he doesn't talk a lot about that kind of stuff. The influence he's had on a lot of baseball coaches through the years.
Well, I know that I've been reading Facebook posts and Twitter posts, and people are definitely going to miss him. Even at Caverna, he was Barrett Wright's head coach.
Yeah.
So he's actually had influence at Caverna. And people may not know that, but like I said, he's always been very upfront, straight up guy, really respected him and will continue to respect him. But it's going to be exciting to see who they hire to try to fulfill what he's built at Glasgow.
That's one thing that I think maybe people don't realize. Glasgow's not been as good in the last few years as it's historically been, but there will be a lot of people, I think, who would be interested in that job just because of the history of the program.
that it's brought. Well, again, congratulations to Coach Royse on his long tenure at Glasgow. I guess I may come over Monday and watch some games with you.
All right, sounds good.
I may hold my phone in portrait mode, landscape mode, and take a picture like I know what I'm doing.
All right, this is Tell Me About It on the Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel, Glasgow EPB YouTube channel, Trevent Hayes, KYSports.tv, James Brown 104thescore.com. See you again next week.